motion by Pat to start the meeting, second by Jim. All were in favor. Do we have a motion to allow Val, due to seniority, to be a voting member tonight?
Motion to allow valid seniority to be a voting member.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So to get right into it, minutes are being passed around. Please let me know if any discussions needed there. I'm gonna just go ahead and inform everyone there will be 3 updates and rec rundown that you don't see here, but again, it's just quick summaries. 4th of July parade. I will turn the floor to, unless you want us to skip real quick so you get settled in.
Yeah, yes. Just
Let's do a
go
summer
for it.
camp update, and we have our summer camp director up here with us, Jason. So how's summer camp going?
It's going. We're in the second half of camp now. It's kind of crazy. It's already here. It's been going good. Study numbers. We're in the high 30s typically on a given day. Did a field trip today. One more trip tomorrow, and then we're on our way to our Olympics event next week with Kingston.
Perfect. And just to keep plowing ahead here, we'll revisit the parade. National Night Out. Still, going as expected.
Hey, Andy, can I back up? Whatever happened with the van?
That's
the agreement.
It's all been resolved. Everything's good to go.
Yep.
Okay.
All good.
Okay.
Took
Just hadn't heard it.
a while there. It was expected. First domino was the toughest one to push down, but now that that's in place,
Good.
it should be pretty easy going moving forward.
Great.
National Night Out, August 6th. The PD's only asked rec to really kind of focus on the parking this year. And in order for us to do that, I believe we need at least 4 to 6 people volunteering that. Jason and I are able to work that and help with the volunteering parking there. But who here else could help out? Tuesday, August 6th. And it's 6 to 8. So probably for us, we probably want to be there 5:45, 5:30
I'm on
the
our family
latest.
vacation, so I won't be
Yep.
there.
Oh, I'm on vacation.
That's okay.
Too.
I will get back to you.
I'll be able to.
Same.
Jim's in and same to getting back or same to help?
Getting back.
Getting back. Okay. Whatever we're missing in the gaps there, I was gonna then ask camp staff because some of them do ask for extra hours and whatnot. So I figured to start off with here. Fall sports registration is open. I'm trying to figure out some dates and the schedule overall for fall sports. I'm not quite that far ahead yet, but I need to touch base with our field hockey coach. Stratum just reached out to us earlier this week in a possible in-house league with them. So it's to be decided. And then currently we have 30 registrations for soccer and 9 for field hockey. Field hockey, I definitely say that's on pace. Soccer, I think we are a little bit behind. All 30 of those registrations are pre-K through 2nd grade. We don't have any which I was kind of expecting lower numbers there because EYSA has lowered their age requirement, grade requirement for their league. We've always been the PD system for them. So as they lower, that's going to hit our numbers a little bit, just like for EJ Minnesota softball. On this past Monday, we had a site walk with the budget committee. Brian Trout was able to come down, and I want to thank David for making the time to walk the site with us. And I'll elaborate more on these specific projects as we get to group discussion. But this is just more of an update as to how that went. It seemed like it was well received. We were able to walk the full grounds there while we had adult softball going on, and kind of gave everyone some insight of what's around the corner, what's expected, and maybe some things that we weren't expecting. I'll elaborate more on that as we get into the meeting, but not to put David on the spot. But how was your take from the
It was
experience
very good.
all the way around?
Very informative. There's a lot of, I think they were involved in a lot. Jack Mitchell seemed to really take
Yep.
into that good.
Awesome.
So, yeah, I think you did a fine job.
Thank you very much.
You could sell cars. You did a nice job on that.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the comment. Summer cricket, it's going well. We have 18 registrations with that, and that's ongoing. Fall paddle, I met with Eric Tur earlier this week. We're going to attempt to do a tri-town community event between Exeter and Stratham. And we're hoping to do either September 21st or the 28th for that date. I'm going to try to nudge the 21st there because as we get closer to some of our senior activities and things like that, you'll see that we have a very busy September. So I'm gonna push for the 21st, and registration will open soon, and I just need to update the family prices there. I've
Should be.
hit record, I thought,
Is it say that you're live?
on air and flashing. It's
Yep.
flashing.
Yeah.
Alright.
Well, there's nothing to show on this.
Yeah, we have nothing on the screen, so we're pretty easy group for the most part. Yeah.
Andy, what's the status of Exeter and that Crossroad Dam? Are they still going to rip that out?
If they are, to my knowledge, it's
Yeah,
not
I
gonna be
heard it.
anytime soon, so we'll be able to run the event.
No, I mean for next year. I don't know if this is the last one.
When I met with Eric, the impression I got was we might be able to cheat 1 to 3 more years out of this. But
Really?
yeah, but I'm gonna take this 1 year at a time, and I'm focused on this year's event. Fall Fun Run, that's scheduled for Saturday, October 5th. Kona is confirmed. Mark Hannick has been a great help with trying to get us some other food vendors over at Swayze. We will start and end there, doing the old Arkell route. I was able to confirm that we didn't need 1,000 cones and that we can just close the road down for the 2 hours. Like, it's a very, very similar route as our parade route. So the state did accept our permits. We were good to go there. And I met with Bridget Zacher towards the end of the school year there. She's going to help spread the word with us. She knows a lot of runners in town. So hopefully this goes well with, no speed bumps, but it'll be my first time running one. So I'm always a little nervous before. I'm sure it'll go well. And then to my last 3 items, then we'll follow up with Julie here. The tree limbs on left outfield on our upper field were trimmed down by Bartlett Tree Service there. I think it looks great. I'm working with Highway right now on either getting the right outfield on the upper field trim and or those trees removed, but those trees are fine, taken care of. I did look into getting just a lot of those trees removed in itself. I weighed the cost of the project. I want to let everyone know in the last 24 hours we did have a semi-septic emergency at the community center. Our septic's been pumped. Electrician's coming in tomorrow morning. It's nothing major, no reason to stop any activity or anything like that, but it is a $3,100 expense. So without having our building inspector here in town, it took a lot of phone calls, pull some pieces, put them together, try to navigate through that situation. And it was just one of those things where if we let it linger, it could only get worse. So I felt I made the necessary decision to get that done.
How old is that? Our septic's gotta be 30 years old.
The pump itself, it was definitely time for replacement. The recommended lifespan, to my knowledge, is 15 years. That one was 18 years old. So in that sense, we were already due for it. We were already due for a pump. So again, in a lot of ways, we were doing things that
We're
we were-
pumping up to the leach
we were in
field?
schedule to do. I'm sorry?
Do we pump up to the leach field?
I believe the whole system was pumped.
No, do we pump up?
Up.
Because the leach field is higher than the building. Is that,
I don't know what you're
Okay.
asking. The truck was there. They threw it in, and I was told the system itself is all cleaned out.
Does this have to go out to the tank?
Yes, I believe so.
yes. And a pump pumps it up.
What has to?
Yes.
Okay.
And we have a new pump in there. It's all good. The electrical work is being worked on tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Cool.
Sorry.
Don't want to mess with that.
And then adult softball, just because I forgot to put this in there. We started off with 9 teams. We had a mid-season drop by 1 team. It was not due to league reasons. It was due to personal reasons amongst that team. So we adjusted on the fly there. So we're back down to 8 teams. We've had our first tie in ever, and I really wasn't too pleased about it because it's messing up the standings. So I'm hoping the rest of the season's
Yeah.
results will kind of fix that itself. I had another game that had
I'm sorry, did you say you had a tie?
Yes.
Just for
Uh,
drama for him to have to
Oh,
deal
yeah.
with.
They just have to make it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
Last week we did have a game. We signed their liability forms. We did have a health scare, and the game did have to be stopped. That game is also trying to result in a tie. I'm doing everything I can to finish that game. They had 2 more innings left, begging them to finish it.
What do you do for a tiebreaker?
So
Home run hit.
our final thing is plus minus, but
Yeah, no, I understand.
a lot of teams are right in the same plus minus range, and a lot of teams are in the. We have a clear 2 front teams out of our 8 teams. We have 2 that are ahead. That's going to be the pace, and then seeds 3 through 7. 8 is 8. 3 through 7 is muddled. They're all in the -2 to +5 range, plus minus, and they're all within 1 game. And all of them have beaten this one, but beat that one. It will be very interesting. So
All right.
this year's standings, more so than other years, will definitely dictate like how the playoffs will go. I'm sure, depending how that goes, some teams will be not so good. Most years we're very top heavy, where it's like our top 3-4 teams, and then the bottom half. This year's not the case. Which is always good. But I don't know why. And then I will turn it over to.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys were at the parade or with your kids or anything like that, but the parade went really well. Actually, I feel like it went better than it did last year, and last year was great. We maneuvered perfectly with everybody who was in the parade. There was way more families that were out on the streets than there were last year, and there was a lot of families last year. So really happy about that. At the end, when families dispersed and kind of went over to Kona Ice, some families came over to me and just said, I'm so happy you guys have these guys come. Like some parents were, kids were in Swayze, so they're like, we know like end of celebration. We love Kona Ice. And people were just really thankful. They loved the parade. They loved the way, who was in the parade, how, kids love the horses, so that's like a huge, big deal for them. So lots of, positive feedback. I didn't have any negative like I did a couple of years ago, which was great. We got really great feedback last year and this year. So I think families were happy with what was actually in the parade. So worked out well.
Really great job. I mean, I saw so many people smiling on both sides of the
Yeah.
road
Yep.
as we're going through.
Yep.
And it just had a real positive vibe, I thought, for the town. I thought everything there
Yeah.
was really, really
It was
well
great
done.
to see all the kids. There was so many kids. I felt like twice as much as last year. And they had their flags and they were just waving them and they got their candy. And, one of my friends, his daughter does the rollerblading with all the candy and tosses it out. So they were really happy to get all that. And
Happy with the pace setting?
yeah, the pace was perfect. Perfect. Yeah, we it was perfect. So we're gonna have to do that again next year.
Not to put Jason on the spot, but he was helping out with
Yeah.
the pictures and stuff, and there's a few
Yes.
times you're like, dude, you gotta slow down.
Yes.
I'm on the
yeah.
break.
Yeah. So yeah, perfect pace. So all went well there, and looking forward to a great event next year.
Awesome.
Good job, guys.
So now we're kind of moving on to meat and potatoes, the group discussion, and we'll just plow ahead here. So our current balance in the revolving account is $65,985.85. Compared to where we were last year, I believe it's close to a $10,000 increase. We're about 50. We were at 56 last year.
Yep.
In large part of that, we have a much higher rate of full summer camp registrations.
That's
And
good.
also, having our camp director role our alternate update, Tuesday, August 6th, I believe the select board meeting's at 4, if I remember correctly. We will be up in front of the select board to put forth David Mentor, and we'll be asking for an extended term to his cycle due to his recent approval, and we will put forth Val Rogers as our 2 nominations.
No application needed.
We had, nope, you two should be good to go. We had 4 total people interested, including you two, and based off of our last meeting, recommendations of both that was taken place. Going on to the next subject here, I passed out kind of a drone program / service here. This one is more of the program. This is one I'm very interested in. This is one, to my knowledge, wouldn't cost us a penny. This is very similar to what I would call like yoga, fitness classes. They come in, they set their rates, and they provide the service. We might put in a small administrative fee to pay for facilities or any additional equipment on our end, but for the most part, that's what this is. And then the secondary one here is more of a service that they provide. They charge per the hour during events. I spoke with Julie prior to the parade if this is something we wanted to do. Overall, I'm very open-minded to this, but I kind of want to put the brake on this one, and I'm more interested in the programs because I know we've had discussions, but nothing official about putting some form of a technology package together, you know, getting an iPad with a concession stand, updating our cameras around the facilities, things like that. And if a drone was a part of that discussion, I think this would be a way around that. And while I think this would be great, I don't think our events are large scale enough for a drone. So would love to get any 2 cents or feedback from the board.
So would this be a program where drones are supplied for these kids to learn how to do them?
So they bring,
that's
they're kind of like
cool.
training drones. So they bring them. We would set up
Fun.
class or like that program, ideally at our ball fields, and
great.
they would just put on the class. It's more so they're looking for space to help them teach.
Oh, that's cool. I
This would be
actually
a
kinda think
wicked
that's
cool program.
right?
Yeah,
I would want that.
and it's very, I
Can I
mean,
get in there?
minimal to like no cost on our end. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
just think this would be something that
That's right.
would be wise for us to do here.
Yeah, very cool.
Is there an age thing on it?
14 up.
14
Top
plus.
right.
It only says it really big in the top corner.
And they charge 45 on their end. I need to look at it a little bit more, but I was thinking somewhere in 50 to 70 grand that we would charge overall, so again, we still get some type of administrative fee there to help keep at least some funds coming back to us.
Sure.
And hoping that some of that money may go towards some of that technology package in the future. I wish I had reorganized this beforehand. I would like to skip budget season / capital projects because that's just going to be the bulk of our convo, and I'd like to give more updates on our senior trips and everything below there. So senior related activities, senior yoga has been going on every Tuesday, going well. And then our regular classes started back up last night. I'm currently working with, remember the name of that? I'm going back to this conversation. Jackie, yeah. They run a balance class and they don't charge at all. So I'm working with them to see if we can set up some type of either bi-weekly or monthly type program where we have another fitness type class for seniors. And main focus is balance.
Oh, cool.
On September 12th, which I will get this on our website ASAP, flyers around town and on social media, but we will have a hearing aid seminar, which is being provided by April here, which is what you see here. Thought it was a great opportunity. Again, no cost on our end, and thought this would be a big help to our senior community. On Saturday, September 28th, I also have Cheryl Fields. She'll be coming down to do a Medicare and Medicaid seminar as well. That time of year for that. September 25th will be our first luncheon back from the school, from what I call the school year, our summer break. And then on, I believe this is Monday, October 7th, we are doing a partnered trip with Kingston and Hampton Rec. This is primarily put on by Hampton Rec, but given to us on the coach bus. I believe each town will get roughly 15 seats, and I was nominated to be that chaperone on that trip. And I was actually quite thrilled by it, so I'm really looking forward to this. And the trip itself will be the Lake Winnipesaukee Cruise.
Oh.
And to my knowledge, the meal should be included. So I'm just waiting on more of the details from Hampton, and just so we can open up that registration. That's our next big trip that we're working on. I've been working with Natalia Whaley. I apologize if she's watching. I mispronounced her name. She's one of our Rock Your Body participants, but she's trying to start a sourdough bread making class. So she reached out, and I'm kind of going back and forth with her to see if we can set something up in September or October. But again, due to high activities we have in September, I'm going to try to push this.
October would be good.
I would just test the oven. Make sure
Yeah.
it works before
Yeah.
you sign up a class, just saying.
No, absolutely.
Try to make a sample.
Yeah.
Which I'll talk about that more in our August meeting, but I'm trying to switch to electric. So that's been an issue. I need to work more with Kip. There's just things
Yeah.
that he's more aware of than myself, and we're hoping to make that push in that direction. And then lastly, and then we can get back to everything else here, is I had, I wish I remembered the group, but a week ago I met with an organization. They are a licensed daycare, and they're looking for a location to have their daycare during the school year, and it takes place during business hours when we don't really have a lot of activities taking place. I was trying to find a way, negotiate a way with her, because we've gotten a lot of community feedback in years past regarding some form of daycare for members in the community, and I was trying to see if we could find a way that residents could either be put on top of the priority list, on that wait list, find a way to get them in class, and then or see if they could provide some form of after school activity or at the community center. It seemed like a great walk, great conversation. It kind of was left as, let us get back to our group, get back to you, and I at least want to inform everyone here of the potential partnership there. I don't know if it'll fall through or not, but I thought that could be a good way to kind of license out our facilities there in order to provide a service for the community.
So that's a for-profit partnership, not that our other ones aren't. I would just, before you go too far down, you're gonna wanna check with the insurance.
Yep.
I was just gonna say that.
Rather than spending a lot of time on something if the insurance is gonna be like,
No, absolutely.
Economical, yeah.
Absolutely.
cause it's technically not a program run by us.
Right.
I'll definitely do that.
And
Just
it's
for
not like,
liability
it's not like a
reasons.
rental thing, it's
Who-
like.
The way I was looking at it,
Okay.
obviously to a much smaller scale
Exactly,
than
yeah.
childcare, but we, license out, or at least, I should say license, we lease out the building to other businesses like yoga, like Rock and Body, and we're able to do those classes in there. So I look at it as.
I still think it's slightly
No,
different.
like I said,
Yeah.
that's a much larger scale, but that's the comparison I'm looking at,
Yeah.
and in the hours of 8 AM to 4 PM, we have nothing going on in the building.
You have to just keep that in mind because with daycares, it can get very funky with insurance. It's a Monday through Friday and it's like a full workday as opposed to a random class once or twice a week.
Yep.
The only thing that concerns me, and again, this really, I'm just kind of thinking big picture here, is that with our other organizations that do it, they can pick up the mats, they can carry them out to the car, they can do this. When you're talking about a 5-day-a-week program where they're gonna have, depending on the level, they're gonna have cribs, they're gonna have this, they're gonna have
Changing
that,
tables,
changing
yeah.
tables,
Right.
all that kind of stuff. Where are they gonna put this stuff when we have something coming in there at night, or someone's renting it, or someone's doing that?
So those were
That's my
things
only
I
concern.
did bring up in our conversation. They said they would get back to their board. I kind of took that as probably not, because I also lay down that town and rec events come first.
Yeah.
I have luncheons.
Yeah.
There's times that we do need the building at that time of the
Voting.
day, and
Right.
due to the consistency, in order to promise their families that they can provide that service, they
Right.
don't know if that's something that can work. That's why I was trying to sell the downstairs in those type of situations. But the vibe I was getting was thanks, but no thanks. We'll get back to you.
Yeah.
I at least want to throw that on the radar.
Yeah.
Yep, sure.
Okay.
And I think those were great questions. And the insurance side of things, I would definitely get more information on.
Before we circle back to budget, and I should have probably said, add these to the agenda. Are the trees cleaned up on the side thing? It looks good, it's safe, people can walk.
I mean,
over.
there's still an overgrown brush, but Highway went over there and they cleaned it up, and I think it looks a lot better.
It's safe to walk in
Yeah.
that area? Okay.
No one,
I haven't been there.
I haven't been yet either. So they got rid of
feel
the
free to take a
stumps?
look, let me know your opinion.
It got stomped, everything?
All those rocks are gone, put new dirt down. They clearly cut some of it back, some of the brush, but I mean, there's still an overgrowth there, I mean, where the trees were. But the archery range is unaffected. It's what it was beforehand.
It's no longer a safety hazard in your.
I don't believe
Okay.
so. To me, it's no different than going out on the trails where we have roots sticking out of the ground at this point. You're kind of going out there to the same risk to that degree.
Okay.
So I was happy with the work, but I can follow it with Wayne, and everyone else wants to take a look out there.
Yeah, I'll make a point to drive by. Thank you.
Mhm.
And then the other, I didn't see any update on, are you fully on the website and getting off PayPal payments? I know you're never gonna completely get off.
PayPal, we're completely off of. I'm making larger strides with the website. It's still a learning process as I go along here. There were some financial gaps in that sense. I'm making it more efficient. And the solution is getting that QuickBooks updated, which is in the works. I was told this will not be like flipping on a light switch. It's not gonna happen overnight. I spoke with Block5. They are updating our servers. Part of those servers is making sure we also update and transfer all of our information over. So
To QuickBooks
the
Online.
discussion is being had, and it's looking like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I don't have an estimated time frame as to when that's going to happen, but I've been nagging about it.
Okay.
Is
When
this
you-
just happening for rec, or is this happening for everybody across the board with this website?
I mean, to my knowledge, it'd be rec because I think we're the only department using Stripe. Is that
Gotcha.
correct?
What are you talking
Yes.
about?
Not website issues, but we're the only department using
The
Stripe.
payment
correct?
service.
You are the only one using
Yeah.
Stripe.
Okay,
So-
gotcha.
If you need help on QuickBooks, I just send that.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, I would definitely.
I book about
It's
2
just-
weeks out before.
I'm
I
just
start.
not at that, we're not at that transition point yet, and I haven't been given that date, so as soon as I get more information, I'll certainly let you know.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Sure, I have it. Should have mentioned this was the Medicare flyer here that we're putting out in the newsletter, websites. Then we'll dive into budget season / capital projects. So the kind of talk is we're kind of in that pre-season of budget season here, and we're not that far off until that starts going underway here. So when I met with the budget committee on Monday, something that will not be in our capital improvement plan, but I did put on their radar, and that conversation we will be having over the course of the next 2 to 3 months here is putting in for a year-round permanent position. That's something I think is definitely needed at this point. Our department is growing vastly. Workload is growing vastly. We are at the point where we need a year-round position. The original proposal was, let's say, May 1 to August 31 would be 40 hours a week seasonally, and then the rest of the year would be 25 hours at $20 an hour. At that, and the benefit structure, if I understand correctly, is based off of total hours worked per year, and under that structure, that employee would not qualify for benefits. We need to discuss that, talk about that more. What's the appropriate year round? Do we want to keep it with that original proposal that we talked about in the past? I'd love to get feedback around, kind of see what the board sits or what their opinion is on maybe presenting that to the select board this fall.
I'm sorry, I'm not quite understanding, because I know what we've got for, the role Jason sits in isn't, it's 40 hours a week for X amount of time. You're saying do 40 hours a week all year round, but then they would be eligible for benefits.
So I would say it's open for discussion on what the rec committee would want to put into the budget and also recommend to the select board once we're there. So do we want to look at a 40-hour position year-round that would be full-time, qualify for benefits, or 32 hours year-round that would still qualify for that, but 40 during the summer season? Or do we want to approach it as permanent year-round that's part-time, but full-time seasonal and wouldn't qualify for And then option 3 would be, we don't want to propose that at all in this year's budget cycle.
Can you get us the numbers like we did last year, where you gave us the
Yeah.
3 options?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, that worked out.
For
last
general
year.
conversation's sake, I would love to know where the board's at right now. I'm not asking for a vote. I want to kind of see where we're at, and then I can certainly provide those numbers at our next meeting.
Jason, can I ask you a question? When you're done with work at the end of the week, you still have things like you definitely could be doing?
Oh, yeah.
You know that there's gonna be 40 hours a week worth of work all year long, and that's gonna be a
I'm
benefit
confident,
to the town. I would assume that that's probably the
Yeah.
case, right? So I would be fully in favor of 40 hour per week for a year long solution, just so people know where I'm at.
Do you have a PD in mind? How'd you come up with only 20 as a
Like per rate.
salary?
It's the industry standard for our town's demographic, and I think that would be an appropriate starting price.
You're thinking like
I
answering
mean, there's no other
phones, or-
district that would offer anything less than that.
Oh, no, I'm not
At
saying
least in this
less.
county.
I'm saying more, not less.
Yeah.
For a first-year position, though,
So we also have to understand the current dynamics of what my position was asked for going into this. I had originally applied for this position 6 years ago. I only needed a high school diploma. I had a bachelor's. I started off at 17 an hour, right? 31 at this point. The department's grown, our needs have grown, services have grown.
what did you say you're at?
I'm at 31.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought you were saying 31,000.
Oh, yeah. So the reason why I kind of was in that range for the starting price, because I felt due to department growth, that would be more equivalent to what the director position was there when it came to experience and pay, and I believe that the position that I'm in is much different now. If I were to leave, are you looking for someone with just a high school degree, or are you looking for someone with a college degree with experience and whatnot? This program coordinator position, whether it's part-time or full-time, is a secondary position. So just looking at it on the surface, our expectation for that position should be less than what roughly is in the.
To throw figures out there, just so you understand it, like Andy said, we came in at $17 an hour, just over $35,000 a year, $20 an hour, obviously before benefits. It's not the taxpayers' cost, I'm talking about salaries, 41,600. So it's probably equivalent to, with, inflation and all that good stuff, similar to a starting salary.
So to give you a little bit of take for what I do for work and what the industry is looking at, I was an assistant to an HR director, and this price range is definitely not right. It is definitely right with what the standards are right now, only because the work that you do, except for, it's not like you're doing payroll or anything, but what I was doing, it's literally all the bullet points. You do what the position I used to do. So it's, and this was just a couple of years ago. So now this industry standards are in that $18 to $20 range, but it's more closely to that $20 an hour range for to be an assistant of any type of position. So
Are positions in the town considered exempt?
It depends on the position.
Is Andy's position exempt? Is he eligible for overtime?
He's exempt because he's salaried.
Because that makes a difference too.
what did you say? Oh, Andy.
But the other thing that you should probably just be aware of is that the town's hiring the land use assistant position, and they're, I want to say, starting at $23 or $24 an hour
Okay. Yep.
with just a school diploma. So,
Okay.
I mean, you could check, you could double check to see
Yeah.
what, like,
You don't wanna match that.
yeah, because they had tried at a lower rate and nobody was applying because.
Yeah, and you're right, because I see it all the time, like things, I get alerts for all kinds of different positions. And yeah, they're starting to be in that range, so, that's not unheard of.
I'll definitely provide information and update numbers at our August meeting. The last time I presented this to everyone, it was 2 years ago.
Yep.
I do think the 20 to 25 range, I still think is appropriate.
Absolutely,
Mhm.
I totally agree with that.
I think you should tie it to a PD and the requirements. I don't know what the concept is, so absent that, it's kind of hard to weigh in.
Right.
Position description.
Oh,
Duties
I would
and-
say job description.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Different
Yeah,
acronyms.
Same thing.
Yeah.
I will email that out to everyone so you can get your eyes on it ahead
Yeah,
of
that'd be
time. And then when we meet in August and when we get to the end of the meeting here, we can discuss when we're gonna meet next.
Yeah.
And we can have further conversation on that. I just kind of wanted tonight to be more of a conversation starter. I wanted to get a feel for where everyone was at and to see what we feel is appropriate for the department. I like to think that here, everyone's been cautious and aware of what we're asking from the community. With that said, we are at the point now where I feel pretty confident asking for that help. And I don't mind kind of keep it as.
Let me ask you one thing, and this is, I don't want to offend you or
I'm,
anything.
I'm independent
listen.
of this position.
Correct. So,
Cover your ears.
right, so,
Ear
and I know you're doing a good job, so
No,
don't
no,
worry.
I'm two different things.
So
You're
Andy
not
is
letting me.
providing us what he did last year in breakdowns for us. If you can, because it's nice to have stuff in front of us, if you can provide what you do on a daily basis, just so we can see the components of your assistant position, even bullet points or whatever, I think that would be very helpful so that our eyes can look at it and go, oh, yeah, I can totally see this.
Well, we wrote a job description previously.
I have all that for you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
have
okay.
what it was when I was here.
Yeah.
I have one for what it would be in the title I'd be going towards program coordinator.
Yeah.
And then I color coded it and everything.
Yeah.
I will resend that out to everyone. Again, I wanted tonight to be more of a
But
conversation
he's in the
starter.
position, so seeing his
Well-
breakdown of stuff would be good.
So
If I also wanted, so I understand, like, okay, he's been in the position for the summertime, but if I understand this correctly, you're looking for something for the year, right? So we know what goes in the summertime, but what's gonna happen in the fall, what's gonna happen in the winter, what's gonna happen in the spring? So those are the things I
And that's what we had put together
Yeah.
previously.
Right.
And decided
Yeah.
not to go through, so we should have
we
it.
should have something
Yes.
like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, I know we
Yes.
do.
Right,
the last time we discussed it, we felt, and correct me if I'm wrong, it just wasn't the time to move forward with that
Correct.
type of request. And again, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that was 2 years ago. So we're, now that we're 2 years down the road, had a community study done since then. And just look at the list of our capital projects, which we'll go over here in a moment. It's just, we're definitely at the point where we're growing faster than what we currently have the resources. And then, I do want to preface, and again, I know, regardless of if the position is approved, I'm putting it out there. It will be posted. I would like to.
Oh, it's gonna have to be posted.
Yep, I like to make sure we follow through the proper channels and procedures
And Jason's welcome to apply.
and that everyone gets a fair shake, and that if you're interested, you have to apply.
I just wanted to respond to you quick.
Sure.
I would be more than happy to list what I do.
Yeah.
A lot of my stuff is kind of voluntary, or not voluntary. I do like, but I do take on additional responsibility.
Yeah.
There's a lot of responsibility that this new position would entail that I don't.
right.
So
okay.
I can certainly provide what I do, but
Yeah,
this
yeah.
position would entail.
You
more
guys
than
can
what I do.
rope that
And-
all together.
And previously, what we had done, I believe, was we broke out Andy's duties, what he would
Yes.
delegate over
Yeah.
to allow him to take on all the new stuff we need him
Yeah.
to do.
And we have that proof.
Yeah.
Perfect, that's nice to just see the breakdown, yeah.
So, got the feelers. Thank you very much for having a discussion about that. We'll get into the rest of this here. So, the 7 items I had presented to the budget committee on Monday, ranking them 1 through 7, was number 1 our furnace. And as I go through this, if you're like, Andy, how come Windows isn't a part of that discussion? Currently, in this moment, we are seeking out vendors. We're at that stage to be looking at windows, and we should have funds set aside in capital reserve for that. So I'm treating that as work in progress, which is why I left it on. Everything else in here is not a work in progress. We need to do more on this. So number 1 is furnace. I think we've been talking about this since my time here. It is time to move forward with it. Number two, I had our snack shack. Snack shack renovations to winterize it, make it year round, for stop critters from getting in there, to be able to sell more than candy bars and Powerades, and hopefully additional storage. I put that as number two. And I did not put the pickleball courts in there, because again, we're seeking, I have a site walk tomorrow with Brentwood Fence to get the final quote on that. We did get a quote on the courts there, two tennis courts, that is hybrid for pickleball courts.
To be placed in the Olsen Field?
To be placed in the Olsen space, we're gonna rename our lower softball
It's
field
still the
to
Olsen Field. It's gonna be-
Yes. That price was literally $52,500. The fence quote we will get will be added to that quote there, so it will be a number we can present to the select board the next time they review that for ARPA funds. And the current proposal to the select board was funding that project half through ARPA funds and the other half through impact fees. Currently have $65,000 and change in our impact fees. I'm not a big fan of giving speculation until we get exact numbers. My gut feeling is telling me we're gonna be in the 70 to 80 range. Because it's more than just the fence. There's gonna be some general landscaping we're gonna have to do to create a safe walking path, making sure, people can access the pickleball court there possibly. That dollar limit I'm expecting exceeds what we have in our impact balance and exceeds our revolving account balance, so we need that ARPA funds in order to get that project.
Sorry, what are ARPA funds?
COVID relief.
The COVID
You don't-
relief.
You don't necessarily need ARPA funds, you just don't have it in your other budget.
Yes, exactly. And the reason why I brought that up is because the revenue that we would generate from the pickleball courts, I do believe can help pay for some of the snack shack stuff that we have done. When I walked with the budget committee on Monday, I made it the point to highlight that our rec sign, which I should have mentioned, the full sign, I asked them to do the sign, they did everything, which is amazing. I love it. So
Yeah,
it
I
will
saw
push a
that. I was
delay
gonna say that.
on the rest of it there, but it bought us some time. But our portable fence, our road, all those things we've been able to get accomplished in this past year, either through no new tax impact and or through volunteerism accomplishing those goals. So I highlighted that to budget committee that I believe revenue from the snack shack, from the pickleball courts through membership fees will definitely help pay for those renovations over time. I'll definitely kind of go through the list and get back to you. Thank you. So I call this, it's technically 3, I call this 2B, an irrigation system on our lower fields. If you haven't walked our lower fields, I highly recommend you go do so now, where primarily our 11v11 fields where Exeter Soccer plays. If it was a football team, practice, whatever, I think it would be safe and fine enough, but due to lacrosse, due to flag football, and due to soccer, that field is becoming unsafe, and I was told by EYSA that moving forward until that space is completely renovated, that they can only use that space for practices. Now, we do generate revenue Monday through Friday from practices, but that's typically for 2-3 hours a day minimum. Where we make almost all of our money is on those Saturdays. We're down there for 10 to 15 hours a week. So if they can't play games down there, we're losing them on those Saturdays. And I want to lump in a part of this is also a drainage system. So we do have current flooding issues where the upper field and the lower field meet. So before we put in a sprinkler system in place and we flood it even more, we have to figure out how we can properly drain. I also have another site walk tomorrow with Hillside to see what this project would entail. I mentioned very briefly, I was approached by Jen Jones, one of the select board reps that was at that meeting on Monday. Hey Andy, what would your plans be for the secondary half of it? we need further discussion as a board, but to give an answer at that point in time, knowing that other projects can pay for themselves, go to capital reserves for the furnace, go to the courts or the snack shack. I personally would like to see maybe our other half of our impact fees go towards this. I need more information. I don't know. Can we draw from the same water source? Do we need a new tank? Are we gonna have to do this in quarters or halves? So there's
Electrical, yeah,
a-
Hillside will tell you though.
exactly. So there's a lot more questions I need answered, but you know, in my time when I first started here, it was just rec programs and Exeter soccer. I'm proud that we've been able to get our fields busy and active since then. I don't want to go backwards. We have a lot of additional associations, whether it's Seacoast Flag Football, Exeter Soccer, Exeter Lacrosse, and Exeter Baseball and Softball. Each and every one of those associations, we have 100 plus Brentwood residents plus coaches, so 100 collectively, participating in those places. And Brentwood has a lot of thumbprints and fingerprints all over those organizations. And I believe it's our responsibility to making sure that those Brentwood athletic teams have places to play and practice. So that's kind of where I jumped up number 3. Number 4, I just put a shed. I should have just said storage. We keep talking about all these awesome projects. I think it's awesome. I think it's great. We're already running out of storage as it is right now. So storage needs to be a part of that conversation no matter what.
Are we maxed out in the garage?
We've done a lot of throwing away of unused equipment, donating equipment.
I know we got rid of all the old.
We
well,
got
we put the
highways,
nets in
got the
there.
tractor. So we've done a lot, and yes, there is still space we can store in there. But between our upper, lower field sheds, the community center, and the garage, everything combined, I still have stuff downstairs here. That's just in a random closet.
With dividers in the garage.
Yeah.
So
It's all kind of mixed, like,
The garage is messy. It can get messy real quick.
that's why you put
though.
dividers per bay.
Yeah.
number 5 of 7, I put roofs. So the snack shack roof is definitely going to need some repairs in the near future, and so will the garage. We can talk a little bit more about the garage area here in a moment. That's kind of why this is a little bit further down the list. And then number 6 and 7, this is more of me throwing it to the budget committee's radar that these are needs in the future. Again, this is why they are our last 2 items on our list here. But again, I call it press tower, baseball press tower. It's storage. It's what you see at most athletic complexes, youth facilities. It's what you see behind home plate. Normally, the bottom half is used for storage. The top half is used for a PA system, scoreboard system, and to announce games. So as we further develop our facilities, and the more we have SAU 16 associations using our facilities, another way to drive in even more revenue is tournaments. So in order to do that at some point, we need to be able to announce those games and be able to have a scoreboard. And then my last item here was athletic lighting. So we have our 3 light towers. They get used regularly between all the departments here in town, which was the reason why we got them.
They're awesome.
But they do not suffice. I've been just begging organizations, I have lights, please use them. Baseball, softball's taken a look at them in the past, due to, pop flies and things like that. They can't, those towers don't go up high enough. There's definitely vision impairment there. And when you also talk about just lighting issues with the parking as well, I've been at a lot of facilities where they might not have parking or light for the parking lot, but the lights from the field is enough to light that area up. And I believe we can get that accomplished with lighting our fields by also providing more light to our field lots. So now that I've hit the 7 items that I've discussed with the budget committee, I know Pat raised your hand here, but I do want to get to Becky. I think you were trying to state something earlier, and I would love to see what the public feedback is
Right now?
Yeah.
On the miscellaneous list, I waited until the end of this so that
at
have to
you,
say
you're
my
like a
name,
pro-
Rebecca
Look at you, you're
Dunham.
like a professional.
I know.
Turning the ca-
Rebecca Dunham, Block Drive. My first question was, have you heard from the Peach Project about what they're going to do this year? Because I know there was something posted about looking for volunteers. And with that change, if there's any information on that,
Sure. I can speak for the Peach Project. I'm a
that would be
board
great.
member.
Thank you.
We are gonna run our event as we usually did. We are altering the trail a little bit.
Mhm.
Where we're gonna start behind what was the old baseball field, so that's gonna be the
Okay.
entrance.
Okay.
And then you're gonna kind of exit where we used to enter. We're gonna utilize
Okay.
the same trails. We're actually gonna expand a little bit.
Mhm.
And we're gonna run the event just like we did last year. Food trucks,
Good.
hopefully elf school again, because that was a
Good.
big
Yeah,
hit.
that's a big
Run
thing,
by
yeah.
teenagers.
Yeah.
You know, we're always trying to build and expand,
Mhm.
and add more to it every year. We're trying to get our website up and going right now. I'm dealing with like vendor forms and stuff like that on the legal
Right.
side.
Right.
But, yes, no, we're running our event as usual.
Okay. If you'd like an article in the newsletter about recruiting volunteers or what you're doing, just
Oh.
contact me
Yes.
and I will get a notice to them. Because I know there've been questions from some of my friends, are you going to do it again because it was so much fun last year?
Oh, yes, we are doing it.
Okay, that's great.
Yep, we're already, we plan year round, believe it or not.
I imagine you do. It's a big endeavor. And how much revenue have you provided to the food bank since
Oh,
this started?
Totals, well over $100,000. We did over $20,000 last year.
That would be a
alone.
great piece of the story to have
Yes,
something like
Erin
that.
has all the stats, Erin in Georgia. But we can definitely get
That would
you
be great.
on the info email lists.
That's
There
great.
was one the other day.
Great, thank you. Second, question about, you mentioned the revenue plan for the pickleball, revenue source from the pickleball. Can you just tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so with a lot of rec departments in this county here, because it's so popular, we're able, a lot of departments are allowed to get away with charging a membership because there's less courts and there's a high demand. So in order to get those people onto the courts, we would charge a membership. Now, with that said, we would allow for open, public-only hours, so anyone can go down there and use them, because that's a large part of what recreation is. But that revenue we would drive in would be through that. And Kingston Recreation, who has a pickleball court, and they have 1 to 2 to my knowledge, they generate roughly $5,000 a year just from the membership fees. Hampton, who I believe has got 4 courts, I believe they're close to $8,000 to $10,000. And again, that's just off of membership fees. A thought I had, which no one's really talking about, and it's another idea I've had to put on the courts, but not specifically court related, is no one in the state is doing pickleball tournaments, and no one is doing cornhole leagues or tournaments in the state, to my knowledge, through municipality or rec department. So I believe those are other potential revenue streams.
I think Exeter, when you pay your membership, it's one for residents and one for non-residents.
Yes.
Would there be a difference here?
Yes.
And they have a band that people get, and some volunteer stands there and checks people in to make sure that they are paying their fees. I don't know if that's part of your plan.
You'd probably do it more like you'd book the court if you members can book it
Okay.
during X amount of hours,
Okay.
right? Like through the website, we could do that
Okay.
easily.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Good.
And, you know, depending on what we can get for a structure, I mean, I'm just in general, I mean, we are limited on resources. So trying to get, you know, what I would call part-time employees or volunteers, I'm always for volunteerism. But I mean, I'm still trying to get the snack shack appropriately manned and whatnot. So I would look to a very similar situation
Okay.
with the pickleball court, so we could do that. And if we had our program coordinator position, you know, during their hours, it's something that they could easily do as well during those. Going back to the resident and non-residents, yes, we would charge 2 different rates.
Yeah.
But due to high demand, residents would always carry priority.
Okay, okay. I figured that would be what you would do, so that's good. And my last would just be a notice from me from Conservation that I've walked a couple of the trails with Deb Briscoe looking at Split Rock and other things, and I would like to do a similar thing with the trails here behind the rec center, and I would love someone from rec to go along with us. I haven't contacted Deb yet, but I know that there's a management plan that was presented to the town for the recreation department, and there are things in there about future use and how it's managed. I know that we sort of share the trails, you and I, so I would like to get a little more concrete information on how that's going to work out between conservation and rec, and then do some planning about how to use some of these places.
So I guess to answer that question is reach out to me about dates. Love to take a
Okay.
walk with you.
Okay,
Maybe we need to have a separate conversation at our next meeting
Yeah.
and hear what the rec commission's
Yep.
views are, how we can navigate what that exact relationship
Right.
and
Yep.
what that responsibilities will be per department. I know you and I
Yep.
have met a
We've-
couple
yep.
of times and discussed, and based off my research, it's really 50-50. Some communities, it's all conservation that takes care of trails. Sometimes it's all rec department.
and I think that leaves Deb in the middle of it, so I'd just like to work out something that,
Certainly, and like I said, while I would love to have further conversation, I know my initial reaction to that, to kind of give everyone where I stand on it, is I was hoping we could have a partnership where recreation could focus more on the programming aspect of things, and with conservation having more of a streamlined ability to get volunteers on the maintenance side of things. That's kind of how I was looking at it, but I would love to have further conversations regarding that.
I would love to be part, I think that's important. That would bode well for the relationship between the two groups. So I think that would be very helpful. So I'll contact you, Andy, and we'll work out some dates, when it's not so hot, maybe.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
and I'll talk to Deb too, and then I'll
Maybe when the
put us
leaves are
free.
turning colors, that'll
Yeah.
be the most beautiful time, right?
Right, get rid of some of the deer flies, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, Matt, I know you wanted to get to something regarding
just had a question
these
with-
projects here.
I just had a question regarding the lighting.
Yes,
So the current lights, I know that you said that they can't use them because of how high they go or whatnot. Is that something you could put around the future pickleball/tennis courts?
Oh, yeah.
well, I would like to think our light towers actually would be more appropriate, because I mean,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I'm not used to, I played pickleball a couple times. I was a tennis player in high school. I don't think I ever remember a ball.
No,
40, 50
that's
feet
my
up in the
point. I
air.
mean, could we relocate them so they are,
They're portable, you can drive.
well, that's what I'm
wherever you
saying,
want.
like relocate them so their house there.
Yeah.
And if you need to move them,
That's a great
Yeah.
question. So when I meet Brentwood Fence tomorrow, I'll ask to see if we could have a large size gate, because
Yeah.
we would love to
Yeah.
use them for other events and
Right.
programs. So if we can drive them in there, lock the cage up. Now we also know that they're
So,
properly
and you need a
secured at the
vehicle,
same time.
Exactly.
so it has to be wide enough
right,
for
it's
a
got,
truck.
you need a double gate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call.
How many lights do you have?
We get 3 towers.
And they're generators too.
Actually, I don't know.
We use them at the Peach Project
Yeah,
for
those
light
things are
and
great.
generators.
I remember correctly, they're definitely in the 20 to 30 feet range. I want to say they're closer to 30. And recommended height for tennis and pickleball courts is about 12 feet. So that fence, so
Right.
I definitely think that would be very appropriate. And we could do that there. Was there any other questions or maybe just conversation regarding what I presented to the budget committee? Or, hey, Andy, have we thought about these type of projects? I know when we've heard of, and to go back to our Plan New Hampshire study, a lot of these things align with what was presented in that study there. And I think this fits what we're trying to do, but I'd love to hear further conversation.
My only thing is, I see what you did by combining them. We had this discussion a little bit with the drainage and the irrigation. I kind of lumped into one sum. The only thing that kind of concerns me a little bit is that I know what irrigation normally is. It takes about 1 to 2 years. You know, you gotta get PSI, come up with a plan, come up with everything like that, right? To do it. The drainage, if we could put that ahead of that, will allow us to open the fields earlier. Because that is the big thing where we lost
a good
about
call.
3 weeks
Yeah, yeah.
being able to use those fields because of the drainage.
So, not that we should be in the game of making assumptions, but again, before a sprinkler system gets put in place, we want to make sure that it's already getting properly drained. So I would like to
Right.
think that would have to come first
Okay.
before the
Yeah.
next.
Okay.
And the good thing about meeting with Hillside is they are our vendor when it comes to our infield mix, our current sprinkler system on the upper field there. So hopefully that's already information they have. And
Yeah.
if so, I'd like to think they get that pretty quickly.
They know our system, they know these fields.
Mhm.
They've been working on them for
Forever.
20 years.
Right.
Any other questions regarding other projects? Was there something I didn't put on this list that people were like, hey, Andy, why didn't you talk about this?
Bathrooms.
Bathrooms.
You know what? I think
gym,
this is a great.
gym.
Oh, okay. I have not been here. So there's a, okay.
We had tabled bathrooms because it was like gonna be like $300,000 to put in outdoor bathrooms. And it's like not, I mean, it's a lot more, but not, we could do a gym and have bathrooms accessible from the outside. So why spend $300,000?
Good segue for you.
Segue for me.
Well, so to my knowledge, and don't mean to put you on the spot, I was told that Mr. Morgan had notified you that he wanted to discuss it.
Yes, he was looking, I guess, to see like, so you've talked about the gym project here, it sounds like before. He would like something actionable that he can take back to the select board to say, yes, they would like to have a study to figure out how much this is gonna cost.
I'm gonna get to you in a moment. I want to kind of see where we're at with the board here. Open it for discussion. I kind of want to see where people are standing with this.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I was under the impression that the select board was gonna push for the gym and it wasn't gonna have to come from us. Did I interpret things incorrectly, a previous conversation?
To my knowledge, it was gonna be like down the road,
And-
because we have way too many, like,
We have, well, we
Big
know we don't have
necessities
the
right
money
now.
or the
right.
clout to get this through. It would have to be a select board. That was always my impression.
Yes,
So
but
would
my
you-
understanding is that he was looking
Yeah.
for the rec board to be in favor of
What
doing
would the
that.
cost of the study be?
But it wouldn't be a cost that you would have to necessarily pay for.
Well, who would be paying for it?
Yeah,
Would
who does
be-
pay for
Who
it?
does pay for that?
I think it depends on what is recommended, honestly.
Has
So
John-
forgive me if some of this has already been talked about. I'm looking at your number 2, 3, 4, and 5. Wouldn't those go away if there was a new building that included some of those things? Like if you need to do irrigation, what if you have, for the new parking lot, what if you tap into your stormwater management system into a holding tank that you can then use for irrigation? You don't have to redo roofs on buildings that you don't need anymore.
And that's the roof there. That's kind of why I was saving it for this part of the conversation. So, excuse me. So the proposed area, if you refer to the Plan New Hampshire study where the gym would go, is currently where our basketball court / garage is. This is and when you also factor in the bathroom project we talked about, so when you factor the hoops, the storage / roofs of the garage, and bathrooms, that gym would help take care of those other projects. That they would
Okay.
kind of mix all those at the same time. I will say I'm definitely in favor of a gym. We definitely need one. The town needs a place to vote in. I wasn't necessarily in the space to be discussing this tonight.
Okay.
I will say that depending on the timeline of that project, I want to make sure we're spending money wisely. So are we going to go ahead and spend all this money on a roof that's falling apart? If X amount of years down the road, that building's getting knocked down, what do I do with the hoops and I don't know if anyone has looked at the hoops. I wanted to replace those 3 years ago.
Right.
And then the bathrooms, it does make sense to not spend, let's say, $300,000 to $500,000 between getting the actual bathrooms and septic in place if the gym is going to cost us relatively the same amount of money to get the same goal accomplished. But I'm not confident in saying where the board is on what we were thinking on the time frame wise. So I'm going to open up to the floor to the board.
I just have a quick question. So you said it's supposed to go where the garage is and where the hoops are, which I see no issue with. I mean, the location, et cetera, flat land, whatever, whatnot. But then we also have number 4, storage. You're taking away a ton of storage with that garage going down. So that means you gotta put in another big thing of storage
Right.
to take care of that. So because, I mean, the gym, I'm just comparing it to other gyms where you have the bottom floor, but that's still not enough storage for what's in that garage. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So how would
So-
that work is my question.
Maybe that's what this study would accomplish, if that's something we are in favor of, like, you know, is there a basement attic system in place where that would get that accomplished? I don't know the answer to that question. at this
No, no,
point.
I know that. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to,
So I have some questions. We've talked about this. We obviously know what Plan New Hampshire did, our projections for all these different things. And here in Brentwood, we hear this word a lot: municipal, municipal, municipal. There's municipal buildings going up, clearly. We're getting ready to look at a municipal building for town hall and the police station. It's a lot of money. When we discuss these things as a board, we are discussing what the massive priorities are for rec. We all agreed that we do want to have a gym that is a place for voting, and that is a basketball court, and that has bathrooms, and that has some storage. But I feel like that gym was down here on the spectrum, and it's being fast-tracked to come to the beginning of the line. So at least that's where I'm getting some vibes, is that that's like, I want to have like a study done like right now. And I don't think it would be beneficial to just completely do that for our town when our town is currently trying to bring in another municipal building up in that area. So what has John shared with you? Like, what is his scopes of, is it just the study? Does
I
he
think,
know
My
parameters or
conversation
costs?
with him was brief.
Yeah, well, I know he's overseas.
Um,
Traveling.
Yes. My understanding is that kind of where you are right now is that you can't really make any more decisions about whether or not you want to move forward with this or when you want to move forward with this if you don't know what this is. So kind of to what you're saying, like, is it gonna account for the storage that you're losing? Clearly, it's gonna account for the basketball courts that you're losing, but what is it? What else? What other boxes is it gonna check? And once you have that, and maybe a price, then you
Can we
can
put lights on
decide.
the outside of the building? That's a question I want to get into too. Can we put lights? Because
This-
if it goes where the court is, those lights could then overlook the fields. That's a
Right.
question I would love to get answered.
this is my 2 cents. Municipal buildings over there, that has nothing to do with us.
Okay.
We're being asked about a
Yep.
basketball court or a place to vote, et cetera. That is what we're talking about.
Correct.
That has nothing to do with us. That's out of here, right? So with that in mind, you know, we need to really, in my opinion, we need to consider what is either gonna maintain programs that we currently have, or what is going to help us with our current programs and make them better, right? Or help us think. So with that in mind, obviously we need a furnace. Without that, no heat.
Yep,
That's
And that
something.
building would still remain no matter what. even
Exactly.
If we built a gym, so you
Yep.
gotta fix it.
Exactly.
Stays there regardless.
So we gotta have a furnace, right?
Gotta have windows.
The drain, I keep going back to the drainage and stuff, because without that, we lose
Yeah,
a month on the fields, which means we can't make revenue,
right.
right? So that's also impactful. The other thing regarding this gym is to look at a study whether it be feasible because of the bathrooms, because of the voting, because of even our rec programs with basketball. We've talked about how much money we lose for basketball every single year because we have to rent space over at Swayze, we have to rent space over at Talbot's. We have to rent, I mean, that's, granted, it's not a whole lot of money, but it is money that we're wasting every year, right?
Yeah, especially when we have a small.
Exactly.
And
We're
it might
losing.
be a small drop in the bucket, but for us,
So,
it's not.
so in my opinion, to do a study of what it would take, what it would entail, be it the, you know, hey, what's gonna happen with storage? Do we have an access to a bottom floor where there's storage? Is it gonna have
We lose
lights?
field space.
Do we lose field base? All those kind of things. We don't know what we don't know. So having a study saying this is what we would know would make sense in my opinion.
And then would part of the study not just be a building? Like, okay, so now we're gonna increase the amount of programs we offer. So now we have an actual basketball court.
Exactly.
So now we could be feasibly running all of our fields per se, we don't lose any. And now we're gonna add a program in basketball, we're back to. I can guarantee you don't have enough parking.
Correct. We are back on that topic.
Yep.
We've been on that topic for a while.
Yeah.
The parking.
I mean, I'm not anti a study.
Sure.
I just know that our priorities are some of the stuff that at least my opinion on what our priorities should be. The drainage, the furnace, if these are must fixes.
Definitely.
And we're pushing for, going full time because we think we need this.
We can't do everything.
No.
We can't do everything. So is it horrible to get a study underway, especially if the funds to pay for the study is coming out of our pocket? I'm not anti that, but it's not something I think is feasible in the next 18 months to 24 months to start building a gym.
Maybe
But-
this is a question we could ask the select board, what's their, I guess, stance and or what's their estimated timeline on when they think this could happen? What, does this study speed up that process? Is this just an information thing where like, hey, we get this done and we get all these questions answered, and it allows more time?
I think we need to hear
Discuss
from
this.
John what he is looking to do with this. I'm not against any type of study. I mean, if it's coming, like, funds for that are coming elsewhere and not out of us, fabulous. We just can't afford to put forth any money for that. So if he's got ways to do that study, that's great to get information, I think, because we've already talked about this, Jim, so it's not like it's a newbie. So I think that's fine, but I think we need to have bullet points of like timelines, when the study will happen, what we're kind of looking at, when, because I agree with Val, like, where this building is not getting built in the next 18 to 24 months.
Well, that, and maybe what are the requirement solicitation we need from a study, like, not only the cost of building, also is do we have parking?
Right, that's a huge
stuff like
deal,
that, like,
yeah.
that needs to be considered with, having a building is fantastic, but, okay, look, we had a septic issue this week.
Yep,
We gotta put it in another septic, I'm assuming, there's no way that can
When-
pump
it will
all
not
the way
feed
out.
off
When I
of the
asked
current
this
one,
question,
no.
I'm not trying to change the topic, but I know Pat said, put the municipal building off to the side, but to bring that back into the conversation, I think that, the area was cleared regardless if that gets put up or not for parking. So
But it
if the
doesn't look
building
like
gets
they're
put,
making
but
it
if the
work.
building gets put in, that parking, I'm assuming the parking gets expedited there. What if it doesn't get approved? When does that parking take place as well? Because if we put that building in place,
Well,
we still have the parking issue. So we're just adding more facilities and
Still have
physical
equipment.
limitations, and we still have physical limitations
No,
within our.
I agree with you, 'cause right now we have a bunch of sticks and a bunch of stumps.
Yep.
And a bunch of, hold nothing,
That's not parking.
that's not parking.
Yeah.
And so I would like to see that at least cleared out, made into dirt, at least it's temporary
flat,
parking.
temporary.
Something, so if something's gonna go there eventually, you're not hurting anything.
So it's not cleared enough where we could put cars there?
I don't know, I'm
So the
telling you,
pavilion
I don't
is a
know.
part of the plan to be kept there. So,
No, but I'm saying we have a parking issue.
Yeah.
Well, I
That-
get
all those trees got cleared, and I understood why we did it,
well,
but we couldn't park.
the reason why I brought that up is because, to me, it is a little bit more than just making it dirt. Yes, I'm fine with leveling it out, making it dirt so we can use it for parking right away, but we need to also make sure we have safe in and out access there. And
Absolutely.
long-term
Yeah.
wise, the pavilion is a part of the facility there. So with it
Right.
currently being there and just making it dirt and leveling it out, is it safe enough for residents to enter and leave that area for parking?
How do we do that?
So it sounds like you have a parking issue.
No, yeah.
So have you come to the select board and asked for more parking before?
A few years ago, we asked for the parking lot to be paved. We're trying to get the
No,
dirt
that's
lots.
different from more parking.
No, we have not asked for more
When you get into more parking, we're talking about leveling a whole
It's the
different area.
cart before the horse.
It
It's like,
is.
how do you know where to put more parking so you know what we're doing
Correct.
with the land? It all has to be
Well-
done at the same time.
And I would argue that, given a Saturday, and I know that I was there one Saturday when I was running Snack Shack, and I was just taking pictures of cars. And cars were not in spots, and
Right.
they were just, wherever a car would fit,
Wherever you could squeeze in.
it would be. And for safety wise, that is going to hinder our opportunity to really grow and address things like, hey, we're making these fields now open up earlier with drainage. Okay, great, where are they gonna park? We're doing this, great, where are they gonna park? It's a big need, especially, if you go in there on a random Saturday where we have soccer going, and then this corner's flag football, and down below is another, flag football and soccer,
Yeah.
and there's literally hundreds of
Yeah.
people there.
When people are
We took
literally
it-
parking in
We took
between
care of the problem
spaces.
with one way in, one way out.
For safety of
For
people
safety.
getting hit.
Mhm.
Right.
Still not our spot.
We need to take care of the issue of safety. Where else can we park?
Yes.
I'd love to
Totally agree.
actually see, so we cleared all those trees, how big of a deal is it to put that? And I know what you're saying, we're not going to tear the pavilion down, where the dumpsters are,
So like,
you could
I guess what I'm-
widen that. you could-
No, yeah,
what
I
I'm
just
saying
wanna
is,
make sure
has
it's safe
anyone
and
just
interactive.
asked for that? It feels
We-
like there might be a
We have
communications
definitely
disconnect.
brought it up
Yes.
many times.
But
We
it,
have,
it,
yeah.
I don't think there was an official request.
there wasn't an official request, but Letty, it's like, until we know if we're gonna put a gym in or a municipal building, why are you gonna go put parking? Like, you're spending money.
Well, it sounds like you need parking regardless if there's a
I
new.
also think,
Oh, you
just,
space.
I'm gonna get you in like 2 seconds, I promise. I also think for us as a whole, we're also kind of going into uncharted territories. I mean, we've been
Yeah.
trying to tell the community, at least in my time here, of how much of an impact we have on this community, and we've always been very cautious of what we ask. So I would, not to provide ourselves with excuses, but I think that's why we haven't come forward with an official request to the select board. I mean, we've been talking about things, just the secondary position we talked about tonight. We talked about that 2 years ago, and we felt like, well, we don't know if we could get this, so let's
Yeah.
table this for now, and
Right.
let's see if we can focus on this next thing that we could probably get past. So
I mean,
maybe we're at that stage. Maybe there's now more community buy-in with what we're trying to do here, and realizing we have a much larger impact on our day-to-day lives, and we can start looking into that. But I would say up to this point, that's why there hasn't been.
yeah, there has.
So I guess if this board, which knows more about rec than the average person, I would imagine, were to put forth a warrant article saying we need more parking, then it's up to the voters. Isn't that?
I definitely think that's, and as we're entering this budget season, I think that's something we can certainly talk about. I think at the next meeting, tonight, I always treated July as the conversation starter for budget season. Because once September, October hits, we gotta start presenting these budgets. So August will be a big meeting for us. We can figure out what we wanna put in the budget, and then we can figure out, okay, this is gonna be a warrant article. And I think that's kind of the stage we're at right now. I know Becky's chomping at the bit.
Yes.
Becky wants to talk so bad. Dexter's also raising his hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see
Yes.
that.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
You want to go first? Okay. Miscellaneous notes again, Rebecca Dunham, Block Drive. I'm speaking as a private citizen, not representing any board. I enthusiastically attended all the Plan New Hampshire meetings and listened to the presentations, participated in the conversation, and read the report at least 4 times. And one thing that stays with me in that report, couple of things. Wonderful ideas, but the statement at the last, I think it's the last page that says, we are just making suggestions. It's up to the entire community to bring them together to discuss what you're going to do with this. We had one Plan New Hampshire meeting. I think there were about 20 people there, half were employees. And there hasn't really been a conversation about how all these projects in town, whether it's a municipal complex, which is going to be in the basically same location, parking, a gymnasium, all these other things, there's no one group saying, let's lay out the entire thing. And I think making any decisions to move forward with any of those projects, it has to be coordinated. I worked on a campus where all of that was coordinated. You didn't do it as the art department wanted this and the history department wanted this. Everyone coordinated, and you made a priority list, and you considered how it was going to impact the entire cost to the taxpayer. I was at the municipal complex. Ventura is saying maybe $8 million or more, and that's way ahead on the planning schedule. What's going to happen with the $3 million for the conservation easement properties? We're working on a number of those right now. All of these things are to come in front of the taxpayers, but are they going to see a coordinated effort where everyone is talking to each other and it's a real solid discussion about what the priorities are and how the timing is going to work on all of this? Plan New Hampshire was an interesting concept. It's a theory. It's possibilities, but really the community needs to discuss this in the whole piece. It's a fabric. The community's a fabric. So I think that's important. I keep pitching this. I've pitched it for the last year, ever since Plan New Hampshire happened. And I would like to see that come forward so that we all understand everything that's coming down the road for taxpayers.
Thank you, Becky.
Yeah.
Dexter, I believe you wanted to chime in.
Dexter Swayze, Old Gordon Road. I believe when they built the addition on the school, that in the plans, they had a gymnasium theoretically planned in there, but that was not voted on. So my thought is that a perfect place for a gymnasium is where the kids are, and that's the school. So, and that would alleviate the issue of parking, because they'd be playing there and there's plenty of parking there. So to do it up at the rec center, and now it's, you know, you're all kind of revolving around parking, that would be, to me, a possibility of alleviating that as an issue. And then the thing that, it's just the issue of the basketball court and the storage thing. You're gonna tear up a perfectly good basketball court. The kids were playing on there last Saturday when I was there, to build it over here now. And that just seems not prudent use of money, you know, and to tear down, you're talking about you need more storage, tearing down the storage, and then now where's it gonna go? So it's the planning aspect of it. And as Becky was saying about the charrette thing, I'm not gonna get into that, but that's, that so many things seem to be just kind of getting ahead of you, and wouldn't it be nice? And it would be nice, but then is it practical? And then is it practical for the people of the town of Brentwood? And I had a friend of my son's who was actively participating in the flag football thing. So I asked him, I just said, tell me, how was parking? He goes, we didn't have a problem. He went over on a Saturday. I said, how was the bathrooms? He goes, I said, there's just porta potties there. He goes, we didn't have an issue with them. I've used them. My kids have used them. They work. And then the third thing I asked him, I said, did you get anything at the snack shack? And he said, no, it wasn't open. So theoretically, and again, I think the volunteerism is a real big issue in town. It doesn't cost anything, but it's a hard job to get it and to get the commitment. And I think that's kind of where I would like to see things started and stuff. A lot of work was put in to the rec area. I was on the commission for 18 years. There was a lot of volunteer work done over there to build that facility. And now it seems like it's, the only resource is money. And that, I want to see it to kind of, let's make at least 50-50, okay? That's all.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
You can see the nature of this, the scope is so large, there's so many different groups, and I think that's why
Huge.
we're hesitant to come up and say, hey, here's our proposal, give all these millions, our town members come in, it's just such a big, where would you say things should start? Because my assumption is John Morgan's kind of saying, hey, let's start with at least get a plan or an estimate or something of, hey, what the heck would this actually look like? Because then you have some place to go from this one piece, but where would you say we should start?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, where would you say we should start the entirety of the plan?
In terms of what? The rec?
Everything that we're looking to do here, we got 7 things, and then we got 10 more things. If we had 10 other people, residents of Brentwood, they would all be like, well, we could do this. And so it's a tough question. I don't know what the answer is, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Where do you start? And because if wherever you start, some people are going to be mad. Some people are not
Well,
going to spend this
yeah.
money or that. You know, there's almost a no-win, but some things have to get done.
There's wants and needs, and I think that's going to be the big difference.
So
That
who determines that? What's a want?
I guess the taxpayers will determine that.
But who? Yeah, but then somebody has to come up with a presentation and say, "Hey, taxpayers, you think this is
Right.
a want or a need? Here's what we want or need to
Still
do.
gotta do the work.
You know, it's tough. I don't know if you had an answer. That's why we said 18 years. Hey, maybe this guy knows.
So,
No.
can I say, I've served on this board since Dexter and I served for quite a few years together. Served on this board for a long time. I've gone through endless budget cycles. We have one of the smallest budgets, I think we have the smallest departmental budget in this town. And we've had to fight and fight and fight for years to get Andy's position to be a full-time. That got turned down year over year over year. People aren't willing to spend the money on the recreation thing. We've always took a very conservative approach, going to the taxpayers for money, or even going, we were very conservative with our approach. I think we needed a second full-time position last year, and we still were conservative. Historically, we've had our budget argued through BudCom, ripped apart through BudCom. We've had it argued at, they wanted an amendment to the overall town budget at town meeting because we made it a full-time position. It's never been something that's been well supported by the town. The town doesn't even pay out of regular taxpayer dollars. They don't, what's the split at the rec?
55-45, and to my knowledge, we're the only
We're,
full-time year-round
so
department
we
that
pay
pays a
45 or they
percentage for
pay
the energy
55?
costs.
I always forget.
We're 45.
So we pay 45% of the electric bill and the oil bill and the toilet paper on a town-owned building.
Yep.
Do you really think we could, I think it's gonna be a big, like, that's why I said, I thought select board was gonna go with this, because I don't think it ever could get passed as a warrant article from this board.
There's
No.
one gym in this town, and it's at our school. that our
It's a
kids-
multi-use room,
Right,
actually.
well, there's
It's
one-
not
there's
even
one
regulation
school-
size,
but here's
right?
my point. We have to pay for the kids to play Saturday basketball at that gym,
I know.
The one that you own.
the one that we own.
Right.
That's, thank you.
You're welcome.
And that's the issue.
Yes, and we've said it for years. But back in the day, Dexter and I were on it, and people wanted us to get a gym, and Dexter and I would go, well, the school needs a gym too. Why would the taxpayers pay for two gyms?
Correct.
It, in my opinion, does make sense to be at the school, because then it can get used for, I don't know,
But we
gym
have the same
class?
Sounds like a great idea.
But the issue is, are we gonna have to pay to use it?
Of course we're gonna have.
And then, think,
So,
Right.
and then to think on the town perspective side, I think there's still the voting issue. Does that solve it?
Well,
So,
I'm going to comment, it was at the rec center, not big enough. It's at the school. It works.
Not big enough
Ma-
for town meeting.
What, the
The
gymnasium?
gymnasium at school wasn't big enough for town meeting the last 2 years. People were standing.
I mean,
I
that
mean, you
can,
want people to get involved. They're
you-
gonna show up.
well, then,
Be nice if they
well,
can
I guess
just
with
sit.
that, lady, you would have to theoretically say how many voting people are in town. We would have to build theoretically, a building that could accommodate every voter to be able to come into town.
Yeah.
So are you talking a warehouse?
No, I
mean, that's,
I'm just saying.
but
this
it's
is
never
one
big
of the
enough.
reasons why people think SB2 is a good idea.
so to bring this all together, I think we're having a very
Yeah.
healthy conversation. I want to thank Dexter and Becky for, first of all, for showing up and speaking your mind. It's greatly appreciated. I believe we need to kind of get a sense of, are we open to a study? If we're not open to a vote, I'm definitely okay with that. I think the request that was put on to us tonight was, are we open for information gathering?
I think they just want.
And then as to those, I have an open door policy. Come down and talk to me anytime. I'd love to have further conversations about this. But to go back to some of those comments there in general, I believe what we're doing here is having a collaborative approach and trying to figure out what's the appropriate steps to move forward. That's what the Plain New Hampshire study was for at the same time. That's why we go to the select board. That's why we go to budget committees. When you factor all these different avenues, that is everyone coming together and figuring out what is the appropriate steps. And to echo what Val was saying, I think we've always been very cautious and aware with what we're asking for town. And, I'm glad that actually you didn't have any parking or bathroom issues on the Saturday you went down there. But I recommend going down there again So,
It wasn't me, it was the public.
I've got pictures on my
So-
phone that show
so
otherwise.
again,
But I mean,
we need to take an actionary step to move forward, because I do think that while as healthy as this is, this can kind of go on for the night here. So to bring it down to brass tacks.
Hold on. We haven't heard from John and David. I'd like to hear what their thoughts are, because of everybody here at the table. Just what you guys think of this.
So before we go there, let's go with our two comments here, and then we'll kind of try to bring things
And
to
then bring
an
it,
end.
rope
So,
it in.
John and David.
Let John go first.
He's injured, they're gonna
He's a regular, I'm on it.
I think, Becky, just to address one issue on the charrette, I saw it as a starting point and not an end point with a fully defined plan.
Right, so it was going to go back to the community to
Right.
develop that fully
Right.
defined.
But it's step one, and there should be multiple steps in that process.
Overall.
Right. With respect to information gathering, all for it. I think it depends on what we're trying to gather and why. So I think we just need to define that better, because otherwise garbage in, garbage out.
Defining the requirements of what
Right.
you want, right?
Right. That's it in a nutshell.
David?
I don't have many comments, I'm really thinking about it. We should do some kind of a study to see where we're gonna be at, because right now we're just going every which way, I mean, and then the brass tacks and see what we should do, and the town's willing to pay for it, let's get involved in it. Keep it around money, and
Can I summarize here? I'm hearing consensus of this board is a feasibility study, if we define what our requirements are, we are opposed to, pending how it's going to be funded to have the study.
Correct.
Because it's not necessarily what we consider a need right now with the funds.
No, it is definitely not.
Are the funds
immediate.
use or lose? Does anyone know?
Yes,
They are? What's the time frame?
you have the calendar year to use your budget.
Calendar year, not fiscal.
The calendar year is the fiscal year.
In this,
No.
in this
Yes.
municipality it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is weird because we don't vote until March, so we're just kind of
Right.
floating
Well,
on a
usually
wing and a
federal
prayer.
side, Federal's not like
Yeah.
that.
Some other towns I work for operate on July
Yeah.
1, but- So I mean, I think I was picking up kind of the vibe that Val was laying down for us. So, I mean, is this something that we want to kick back to the select board and say, hey, here were the questions that we had, how would the study be funded? And, overall, and if we need to put it to a vote, we can, but is everyone open-minded to at least looking into this stuff?
We
I-
need more information.
We need more info.
We need more information.
I don't think we need to vote on anything. I think we need that
What-
info.
Okay, perfect.
What more information? I don't mean that in like a snarky way, like
No, no.
literally what else?
Yeah, how's it going to be paid for?
Okay.
Right. That's the
What
number
is it
one.
going to cover? Is it just the cost of building a building? Is it the building and the parking associated to the building that needs to be done?
Right.
5W, 1H, who, what, when, where, why, how,
So
just the basics.
I don't know with this. I'm gonna preface by saying that, but I know that the municipal complex committee did just do a feasibility study. So that could be something that you could look at as an example of what that type of thing is.
And if the select board could get back to us of who's going to pay for the study.
Will the taxpayers pay for the study?
Okay, which budget is it coming out of?
So the other thing that I think it's pertinent to mention is that all of the budgets come out of the same bottom line number.
I get that.
So,
Just not out of ours.
but you're,
Right.
That's what we're getting at.
our
but it could
budget
be out of
is-
yours if I say, okay, it's being applied to your budget. And if you go over by $5,000 in the year because of the study, that's okay.
you have the
Well,
ARPA
who's
funds.
saying that's
Won't come
okay?
out of that.
That was
The
not-
select board is the person that says it's okay to spend money.
Because
Does that-
I'd have to see where we're at with our spend versus what we have left. We run such a tight, narrow budget.
Mhm.
And
I can present
oil
that in
prices
August.
going
I
up,
will say, I
electricity,
just,
like and then we make the deficit up from the revolving.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying is that any department can come to the select board and say, hey, we have this expense that was unexpected, not budgeted for, not gonna fit in our budget. And the select board can decide that you can still have that expense.
That's good to know. Can I ask, can we use this when oil prices spike and we can't pay our 45% of the oil bill? I'm just literally asking.
Yes, you should, I mean, anytime, yes.
Wow. Wow,
Good to know.
that's good to know.
Like, that's the way it is, that, like, the way that the
Like
budget
the
works is the
termites, though.
bottom line number is the only one that can't go negative. So if the select board looks at the budget as a whole and decides the oil prices went up or something, then we can decide, okay, we need to pay the oil bill. I know it's different because of the whole split thing, which no other department
Can
has.
we renegotiate that split?
Yeah.
I don't know that, was it
Talk about it
negotiated?
in August when we
Was
save
it-
our budget.
Was it negotiated? Like, is it just
It's-
is it a handshake agreement, or how does that?
No, it's the guidelines that have been set by select board after select board for us. That's what we march to and have. Dexter, since you've been here, right? Was there ever, like, it must have been negotiated at some point, a 45-55 split.
Where did it come from? Oh, boy. I have to go in the archives. I'm heading to the archives.
We still have.
You
two
had the
accounts.
Brentwood Rackingham, the Brentwood something else, then they combined it.
We've just.
What was the other group we used to have?
Brentwood Youth something.
But there were two different things we combined, and they combined it and the town took it over because it was
The
all,
building versus maybe
It was all
the
private.
actual programming.
Brentwood Rec owned that building, then the town got involved in it and made two different accounts.
Recreation Incorporated.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. They combined it.
Okay.
and got the cash.
So the only other thing that I will say, two more things. One is that I'm not sure, so Andy mentioned the capital improvement program. I'm not sure if everyone knows what that is. It is the plan that you're talking about. It is the plan that all of the departments submit to the planning board of all places once a year to tell them what they see their needs as being for the next 5 years. And then there's a spot to put in, I think, just like a paragraph of like, past 5 years, this is what I think we might need. So that is a document that is intended to kind of have this planning purpose.
Master planning, that's what it feeds, is the master
Yeah.
plan.
It's a,
At all of the public capital improvement plan meetings.
I might suggest that we have different groups, like you're with the conservation, like you said, you and Andy are gonna do a walk, like, it seems to me that every group should kind of get together and say, hey, if we're gonna do this big project, you're talking 10 million or something, what do you want? Can it help you? Like, you know, what's the use, what's the benefit? And then, once the consensus has been put together, then give that to a planning group, like an outside entity that would come in and be like, all right, what do we need to accomplish here? We gotta do this, versus just having the outside entity come in, do this, and then this group's like, wait a minute, you didn't take our thing into consideration when you were building that plan. No? Does that make, am I right?
No, it makes sense. I guess the question that I would have is how many meetings do we have to have?
Exactly. How long does this meeting need to be?
Right,
I
like-
would've said
Like,
half an
this
hour
is a
ago,
public
yeah.
meeting. Somebody's gonna be like, you've never talked about that. Well, yeah, you have, right? Like,
You just weren't there.
you just weren't there. You just didn't know.
Yeah.
Right.
So that, I get, yeah, have some more meetings. Would
Sounds awful.
this board be willing to have a vote that is conditional on finding out who has to pay for it? Just like saying it's a good idea.
You just want the blessing.
I think, so again, I don't know. I think, I can imagine the select board would be hesitant to do something without the understanding that the rec board is interested in it happening.
I'm gonna put something out there. We wanna vote to say we would support a feasibility study for a building construction on the recreation property with the following contingencies. One, we're not gonna take it, we have very limited funds left in what we've been allocated. So we have to either get overage on our budget approved,
Mm-hmm.
or we would have to, another source of funding.
Mhm.
And then we would also want to be able to have a say in the requirements solicitation that would go into whatever the study's
Mhm.
going to.
I would change that to very specifically a gymnasium building, rather than just a building.
Good point.
Yes,
You want me to re-say it?
yes, yes, please.
And
Can I
make-
put a motion?
Yes, you
for
can.
Yeah,
it?
because we voted you in, so you.
And say that with a motion.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
Right, so we don't have to.
I put a motion for it to vote. That we would be in support of the feasibility study to build a gymnasium type facility on the recreation property. The contingencies that are what we've already allocated for our budget, we will spend, because we spend it every year, will not be affected, and if there's an overage, the select board will approve an overage
For this
Would-
specific.
for this specific thing, and it would not come out of our revolving fund. And that we would have participation and involvement in the requirements solicitation that needs to come out of this stuff.
So like
Second.
what you're putting, what the information you fit in and what you'd be looking for in return. That makes
Correct.
sense. Yeah.
Yep.
So we have a motion by Val, second by Pat, all in favor,
Okay.
all opposed? Alright.
Did you vote?
I'm not a voting member.
Oh, he's,
So, I know we're dying to get out of here, but before we go, we need to discuss our next date here. So, my two proposals for our next meeting is either Wednesday, August 14th, or Wednesday, August 28th. 28th would technically be our regular scheduled meeting. I threw the 14th out there, pending how
When's-
tonight's conversation went.
When's the first day of school?
26th.
August 14th is conservation.
I mean, if we need to, we can meet elsewhere. I mean, we met down there, our last meeting.
First day of school is 26th.
When is our regular
Yeah.
meeting?
It was that
would
week.
be.
It was
Our
that week.
regular
I know.
scheduled meeting.
I would-
if
I wish we
remember
never had that.
correctly,
Like,
would
we
be
go
the
after
28th,
Labor Day,
because that's the
like-
fourth Wednesday of the month.
Why do we need to push it early?
I left that there in case we wanted, we done that in the past during the summertime, because, hey, school starts up, can we do it here?
I'd actually like to have it, like, I'm cool with the week that school starts, because
Same.
you're not messing with the last couple weeks. of the
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah,
Okay,
yep.
so we'll keep it as scheduled, fourth Wednesday, which would be,
Yeah.
Wednesday, August 28th.
28th. Yeah.
Alright, perfect, do I have a motion to end?
Motion to end.
Second, all in favor?
can I vote on that one?
Can
I vote to-
Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you for
Wait,
coming.
I'll give you back so you can actually hang these up, because I don't need those. Wait, are they awesome, by the way?
this one.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Awesome.
Good stuff.